The title today for the daily Parsha Insight, Parshas Vayikra, it's identifying with others. So we are focusing on verse in chapter 4, verse 20 in chapter 4. The verse says, Ve'osa lepar, he must to do to the bull, just as he would do to the sin offering bull of the high priest. He must do this to it to atone for them, so they may be forgiven. So in this pasuk, the Torah tells us, and the bull that the Kohen had to bring his own sin offering bull. The Torah describes the procedure of how you need to handle it. How do you deal with the bull? And now, when it comes to a sin offering, the Torah tells us you just follow what I already said with the Kohen. You must do to the bull just as he would to the sin offering bull of the high priest. So you just have to follow the same manual or the same procedure. The Torah does not describe the details of how the sin offering brought by the community is handled, preferring instead to simply say that it should be treated the same way as the previously discussed offering. What was the previously discussed offering? It was the sin offering of the high priest. Rashi tells us that this is because God does not wish to dwell on the wrongdoings of people. Not to focus on the wrongdoings of people. I already told you what the procedure needs to be done. The sin offering of the high priest, just follow the same steps. Let's not talk about it too much. So that's the interpretation of Rashi. So God expects us to learn from his example. Our love, meaning that not to dwell on negative things or wrongdoings of people. Our love for our fellow Jew should permeate us thoroughly, that when we do him or her a favor, we feel that we are doing it for ourselves rather than for someone else. Do somebody a favor, feel like you're doing it for yourself. You really helped yourself. Similarly, anything that happens to another person, good or bad, should affect us personally. And of course, we should recoil at the very prospect of saying something depreciative about someone else. Why should we depreciate the value of someone else in the eyes of other people? So in as much as unjustified hatred, we call in Hebrew sinas chinam, brought about our present exile, such unjustified, unconditional love will be nullifying the cause of the exile. Meaning we have to do exactly the opposite of what we did that brought us to this place, that brought us to this present exile, which was unjustified hatred. Now we have to do the opposite, unjustified love, unconditional love. By nullifying the cause of the exile, nullify the effect and usher in the final redemption. So over here, the Rebbe really tells us that gives us the tool to bring Mashiach. And just do the opposite of what you did up till now. Up till now, it brought the exile, unjustified hatred, or unconditional hatred. And now you do the opposite, unconditional love. Maybe people that are not, you don't feel like liking them, love them anyway. Be nice to them, help them, feel like you're helping yourself when you're helping others. God forbid something negative happens to someone else, feel like it happens to you. And with that, we'll go to a section of Geula study. Each Jew must observe each of the Torah's commandments at some point in history. a soul is reincarnated repeatedly to fulfill this goal. We discussed it also yesterday from the words of Arizal. Those who lived in times of exile will be reincarnated once the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, so that they can observe the mitzvah of offering sacrifices and so on. So we discussed that's the Arizal teaching about Geula. When the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, it says the famous teaching of Rabbi Shmuel, I will bring a plump sin offering. So this was discussed previously. Now, today, regarding the future era, the Prophet Malachi states, the offering of Yehuda and Yerushalayim, Minchas Yehuda and Yerushalayim, will then be pleasing to God as in the days of old and as in former years. There will be a time that the mincha will be as pleasant as it was pleasant in old times. Prophecy of Malachi.
What does that mean?
Meaning that back in the day, let's say the time of the first Beis Hamikdash,
Okay.
you bring an offering, it was wanted, God wanted your offering, it was pleasing in His eyes. Then we came into a state of exile,
Right.
where there's no Beis Hamikdash, so obviously our offering are not yet wanted.
Right.
If He wanted it, it would allow He would bring the Beis Hamikdash and would be able to bring it again.
Right.
So the Prophet Malachi said there will be a time that your offering will also be wanted,
Okay.
just as they were wanted in old days.
Okay.
So, but why is this statement necessary? Did we assume that in the future offerings, that our future offerings may not be pleasing? Obviously, once the Beis Hamikdash comes down, our offering will be pleased.
Mm.
It will be pleasing to God. If God brings the Beis Hamikdash, He wants our offering.
Mm-hmm.
According to this midrash, God ordered sacrifices. Well, how did we do sacrifices? Hashem wanted sacrifices to come from cattle and sheep. Why? Because He cherishes the oppressed. Who is the oppressed? Cattle and sheep. Hevel was pursued by Cain. Hevel, the two brothers, the two sons of Adam, the first man, Hevel and Cain. So Hevel was pursued by Cain, was killed by Cain. And God turned to Hevel. The Jews are oppressed by the nations, and God chose the Jews. So God turned to Hevel. It's His offering, even though it was pursued by Cain. God did not turn to Cain's offering, turned to Hevel's offering. Similarly with us, the Jewish people are always pursued, and the Jews are oppressed by the nations, and God chose the Jews. Similarly, the ox is attacked by the lion, the deer by the leopard, and the sheep by the wolf. In the future era, however, the wolf will lie beside the lamb, they will play together, and the lion will graze beside the cow. Lion is not grazing, lion is a predator. But in the time of the future era, the lion will graze beside the cow. The Jewish people will live in peace in the world. Nevertheless, the offering of Yehuda and Yerushalayim will then be pleasing to God as in the days of old and as in former years. God will continue to desire that specifically the Jews bring the offerings and that they continue using the same spices as in the days of old. So we need the prophecy of Malachi that tells us, although things are going to change in the future era, you're going to have the lion grazing together and the bear and the wolf, the whole prophecy, the wolf and lamb living together. But that part is not going to change. The part that Hashem prefers and He loves the offering of our offering, and it will be as pleasing as in the olden days. Bochum Tiu, we have one short video on Ein Yaakov that I will do shortly. Thank you everyone for watching, for all the likes and the hearts. Thank you.